Hi, welcome back to my garden. When we moved in here a couple years ago, there was this big old satellite dish of some kind. It must be at least like, I don't know, 6 feet across. And it was defunct. It wasn't like connected to anything. And I think it was like at least 20 years old. Anyways, so we were thinking about what we wanted to do with it, and it seemed like it would make the perfect dish for succulents. So we just like went for it. And when we were putting the fence up, the guys who were doing the fence, we had them like bring it down here for us. And then I started filling it in. I put in some kind of big bouldery type rocks kind of near the middle, and that would be like the structure for everything else to kind of cling to. And I didn't want to put stuff near the edge because it's all like perforated metal, so it didn't seem like it would be super strong. So I wanted to make like a light and airy mix to fill it with. So I used mostly perlite. I put some wood chips, some like high porosity soil, and kind of just like mixed it all up, did some layers. And then I got to planting. So there's a bunch of different things in here, but everything is fully hardy for our area. So we're technically a zone 8, but because we have pretty wet winters, I feel like succulent wise, I generally go for things that say that they're for zone 7. As far as planting, because I wanted it to be fully hardy, I have two main groups of succulents. So I have the sempervivums, which are these guys here, sometimes called hen and chicks or house leeks. And then I have the sedums, which are these ones here, which tend to be a little bit more trailing ground covers as opposed to like clumpers. Everything here is hardy to like at least a zone 5 or 6. I'm not sure about like that guy there. I actually don't know what that one is, but it survived down to -11 completely unprotected, just like fully exposed. I've oriented this succulent dish to be like basically facing south to give these guys as much light as possible. And it's not obstructed by anything, like even the house is kind of far away. So even in winter when the sun's low, these get a lot of light. And one thing I love about all these succulents is how they bloom. So like this one here has like the palest pink on like chocolate foliage. This one's like little bright yellow, like almost like a carrot flower, like that nice little like flat surface on the variegated foliage. The hen and chicks have what we call like death blooms, which are basically like the plant itself is monocarpic, so it blooms once and then it dies. But in the meantime, it's put off a bunch of like the chick plants, so eventually those get bigger, so the clump does like grow bigger and bigger. I was noticing with this clump here, which is going out like with a total bang, that pretty much every single rosette is going into death bloom, but there is one over here. And because this all would have started from one rosette anyway, it will be able to regenerate even in a year where so many of them are going to seed. But anyway, it just makes them like that much more spectacular. From the sempervivums, there's like two categories. So there's the ones that send off like little runners like this, which are on like, I don't know, like a special root that eventually dries up and separates. And then there's the clumpers, which like slowly divide. It's weird. They're just like different, but cool. So other than setting up like all the different kinds of succulents, I also wanted it to look kind of naturalistic or like at least like interesting. And I wanted to choose like a rock top dressing that would make the plants stand out even more. So I used 3 different kinds, like other than the rocks that I used. I used white pumice to kind of set off some of them in the middle. It's kind of like a ribbon of that. And then the main areas are either like the small rainbow pebbles, which are like the smallest size I could find. They're kind of like pea gravel, but in like varying colors. And then the lava rock, which I think is like maybe like a 1/2 inch size. I'm not sure. Anyway, so I kind of just like blended them all together to give like the effect and to kind of make the plants pop. And especially like against the reds in the winter colors, when these ones are like the combination of the silvery blue and bright red, these ones are like bright gold. They just like really pop against the lava. I also found like some cute little like tiles and stuff just like all around. and added them in, as well as like some shells and stuff from the beach. The dogs found that like deer head in the woods, and it was already like stripped bare. So we brought that up and added it to the collection. They were a little disappointed that they didn't get to keep it. And then this guy is masquerading as a succulent. It's actually like a baby juniper, but it seems pretty happy here. I do want to move it eventually because I think it's going to like run out of nutrients in the ground. But for the first this is now like a year and a half old, I think. So for the first year or so, while things were still getting established and slowly spreading out, it was nice to just have like a little more color. So it's a super fun project to make and manage, and it's very rewarding. Like any time of year, there's interesting things to look at. We actually have it like right where if somebody comes to the house, they'll park like right next to it. So it's like somewhere that everybody always wants to come and like check out. And you could spend like hours just like slowly looking at it. And it's generally pretty low maintenance. I just pick off like some of the things that like blow in or little bits of like tree that fall on it. As far as watering the succulent dish, I think I could technically not water it and it would probably be okay. I know that some of the sempervivums do like some summer moisture, so I end up watering it 3 times a month. So every 10 days, I'll just like hose it down. And the plants themselves are fine to hose down too. I generally do it when there's not like direct sun on them, like just in case. But like in the wild, I'm pretty sure that they would get like rained on and then have sun on them and it would be fine. So yeah, anyway, so I'll like hose the whole thing down every 10 days or so. I haven't really had to deal with like pests or anything. So that's great, but I feel like there's quite a few ladybugs and hoverflies and things like that around, so hopefully they'll like keep any of the aphids at bay. Well, thanks for coming along of the little tour of our succulent dish. If you feel inspired to make something of your own, I would say totally go for it. I'm not sure how easy it is to find a succulent dish or a satellite dish, but I would imagine that like at the dump or someplace, somebody's like getting rid of one from like the 90s or whatever that they don't need anymore. You could also use like a colander and make like a little one. That one will even have handles so you can move it around easily. And I've also had the idea, we have this fire pit that's like getting a little rusty in the middle. It's just like a small metal one. Just pausing for the bumblebee who's enjoying the flower in front of me. Anyway, we have a small fire pit that's getting like a little rusty in the middle. So I think once that gives out, I think that might become a succulent dish as well. Anyway, thanks for coming along for the tour, and I'll catch you next time.